Hi guys, welcome to lesson 2 of the course Verbal Ability and Reading Comprehension for CAT. About me, I'm Angad Singh, still the same, even after 2 lectures. Just the same, no change at all. You can still follow me on this URL. Let's get started with the course. So today we are going to look at easy level of parajumbles. That's what we're going to start off with. Today we'll look at some very easy examples, very easy questions. And as I said, the way this course is going to proceed is looking at my approach to problems, the way I solve them, looking at how my mind works in an exam setting. And you can pause the video when the question comes and you can try out your own solution, and then we can look at my approach to that problem. Let's get started. Okay. So you can pause and try out your own solution. I'll also have a look at the question. Okay, sentence A. 1971 war changed the political geography of the subcontinent. Okay. Despite the significance of the event, what event? There has been no serious book about the conflict. What conflict? 1971 war. Okay. Surrender at Dhaka aims to fill this gap. What is surrender at Dhaka? What gap? I don't know. It also profoundly altered the geostrategic situation in Southeast Asia. It. What is it? The war. So clearly sentence A is the one that we're going to start off with, because this gap, we don't know what this is. The event, what event? It. All of these three sentences B, C, D are referencing something, and that is the 1971 war. So that is what we're going to start off with. So it will be A as the starting sentence. What will follow this? It also profoundly, okay, just look at this. It also profoundly altered the geostrategic situation in Southeast Asia, and despite the significance of this event. This is the significance that we're talking about, despite the significance of the event. So you need to establish the significance. This sentence D tells you the significance, that it altered the geostrategic situation in Southeast Asia. So A, D. There has been no serious book. Surrender at Dhaka sounds like that book to me. Which gap? The lack of book about this conflict is the gap, and Surrender at Dhaka is the serious book that fills this gap of lack of a book. So the answer should be A, D, B, C. Let's check. A, D, B, C. So you see how we used simple common sense just to arrive at the question, because that is how you would actually convey the paragraph if you were actually writing it. So this was a fairly easy question. Let's move on to the next question. Okay. His political career came to an abrupt end with China's military operation. Whose political career? He attracted as he repelled. Good for him. He was responsible for the debacle. What debacle? Who? Menon. So Menon again is the only noun that we can see, and his. A man of paradoxes, Menon remained an enigma. Okay. So D should be the starting sentence. Okay, let me just tell you one thing here, that in a rare case it is possible that the paragraph that you get, the sentences that you get are taken from in between a paragraph. So it is possible that that it starts off with a pronoun. So it was possible that it starts from a sentence like A or B or C with these pronouns in place. So that's a really difficult problem, and that is something that you really that requires a lot of preparation and a lot of presence of mind while solving to catch that part. So if the paragraph is not complete in itself, the sentences are not complete in themselves, it's gonna get real tough. But I think that is not the case here. It doesn't look like that to me, because we have a sentence D to go on with. We're talking about paradoxes, and sentence B gives me a hint of a paradox, that he attracted as he repelled. So this is the paradox that we are talking about. So probably DB will be a pair. DB can be a pair, right? So we can see that this paradox that we're talking about in sentence D is B. His attraction and repulsion, these are the components of this paradox that we're talking about. So DB. Now let's look at A and C. Okay, so we talked about the debacle, Which debacle? China's military operation. So ideally, A should come first and C should follow. So the answer should be DBAC, shouldn't it? Let's sort of try it. A man of paradoxes, Menon remained an enigma. He attracted as he repelled. His political career came to an abrupt end with China's military operation. He was responsible for the debacle. Sounds good to me. Has to start off with D, has to be followed by B. Debacle is being talked about specifically, so we need a reference. The reference is being made, so we need an introduction to the debacle. So A has to come before C. Answer has to be DBAC. DBAC, correct. So you see how we used two mandatory pairs to arrive at the correct answer. So we knew that DB will make a pair and AC will make a pair. So that made our lives really, really easy. So another fairly easy question. Let's move on to the third question. Okay, a lot of text. Michael Hoffman, a poet and a translator, accepts this sorry fact without approval or complaint. What sorry fact? Okay, but thanklessness and impossibility do not daunt him. But both of these sentences don't look like the opening sentences to me. He acknowledges too. Okay, he. So who is he? Michael Hoffman. This is gonna come after A. He acknowledges too. In fact, he returns to the point often that best translators of poetry always fail at some level. Sad life. Hoffman feels passionately about his work, and this is clear from his writings. Okay, so you can see something. Hoffman is being talked about twice, but you would always take the full name first and then talk about just the surname. So I know for a fact that sentence A is gonna come first and D is gonna come later on. None of these four sentences look like the opening sentence to me. Let's hope it is E. In terms of the gap between worth and rewards, translators come somewhere near nurses and street cleaners. Beautiful opening sentence. Talks about the plight of the translators, and in terms of gap between worth and rewards, introduces the parameter on which translators are being judged. Sentence E is clearly the opener because I know that A, B, C, D don't make any sense as opening sentences. So we start off with E. What follows E is something we need to check. Probably A. I'll tell you why. Because this is the example of Michael Hoffman that you're gonna give to substantiate what you talked about in E. Clearly, D will not come before A. You're gonna talk about the full name first, and then you're gonna refer to him as if he's your friend, as if you've known him for years, Hoffman. But initially, you're gonna formally introduce Michael Hoffman. In terms of the gap between worth and rewards, this is what happens to translators. Michael Hoffman accepts this sorry fact. This is the sorry fact in sentence E that he has accepted without approval or complaint. Michael Hoffman, a poet and a translator, accepts this sorry fact without approval or complaint. Okay. B starts off with a but, so I can expect some sort of a contrast. Thanklessness and impossibility do not daunt him. He feels passionately about his work, and this is clear from his writings. B, D. B will come first and D will follow B, because you're talking about, you're saying that thanklessness and impossibility do not daunt him. Instead, Hoffman feels passionately about his work, and this is clear from his writings. He's such a talented guy that he feels passionately about his work. Where will C fit? He acknowledges too. In fact, he returns to the point often that best translators of poetry always fail at some level. Okay, so this is a little sad part about translators. And then you move on to the positive part in sentence B. Can you see the flow between B, C, and D sentences? E is clearly the opener. A will follow this, very clear to me. B, C, D. C is the one that is taking forward what is being talked about in E and A, but sentences B and D, which are which come together, BD, they take they give a contrast to what is being talked about in A, A and E, A, C and E. So you start off with E, then A, then C, then BD. Just have a look at why this is the correct sequence. It's very clear that we're going to start off with E. It's also very clear that this sorry fact is being talked about in E, so A will follow E. Then we move on to C, that he acknowledges this sad part, and then you take a turn. But thanklessness and impossibility do not daunt him. So you take a U-turn from the idea of sentences A, C, and E, and then you use BD to provide that contrast. So B is the sentence that will introduce that contrast, and D is the one that will substantiate it. That Hoffman feels passionately about his work, and this is clear from his writings. So the answer should be E, A, C, BD. E, A, C, BD. Okay, so I hope these examples help you. In the next lesson, we are going to gradually up the ante a little bit, and I hope this helps. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you.